Welcome to Sunday, everybody. Our Sunday live session together. I look forward to sharing some stories with you as usual. And let's see how we are doing. Hello, New Jersey. Hello, everybody. Hello. Oh, hello, Gil in the United Kingdom. All right, this is great. Good to see all these familiar faces. I'm looking at the microphone to make sure you guys can hear me. Hello, Leo in Toronto. Hello, Barbara in Long Island. Wait, are you in Long Island? We have a few Barbaras. Wow. Hello, Abu Dhabi. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that. Hello, Abu Dhabi. Hello, Atlanta. Welcome to Sunday. This is Tom Caltabiano talking about Everybody Loves Raymond. And you are all becoming part of the Raymond family. I really appreciate all of you watching and joining us. Hello, Ireland. 2 people in Ireland. Hello, Heidi. That's great. Hello, Vancouver. Genda, Barbara. Oh, Barbara, yes, you're in Boston, and we have a Barbara on Long Island. Welcome. How does the show? Ray and I did a stand-up tour in Boston years ago, 2001. We did, where were we, in Randolph, I think, and a big theater right on the border of New Hampshire and Massachusetts. Okay, so hello, Sparta. Yes. So Ray's mother, I was going to have a guest today, but Ray's mother, as I posted, passed on Friday. She was in her 90s, and it was not unexpected, I will say. But for those of you that watch the show, you've seen her traits characterized in the series, so I thought I'd just talk a little bit about Ray's mother. As you know, hello, Nettie. Hello, Nettie in Palm Springs. So I love saying hello to everybody, and then also I get angry comments that I shouldn't say hello to people. But I think I will say hello to people. Hello, Pete. Hello, Debbie. Yes. So in real life, Ray's mother was one of the youngest Juilliard concert pianist students. Now, I don't know if that is a major. I don't know enough about Juilliard to know what their specific majors were, but she studied to be a concert pianist, and then she basically gave it all up to raise her family. But she still loved the piano. She did give lessons in her home. So if you guys saw the Mozart episode, or the one where David Preval, who was playing brilliantly Stefania's father, he came over and had lessons with Marie. So the picture I posted is in Ray's living room, and the piano is right. So when I took that picture of Ray's mother, Ray, and his parents, the piano is behind me and to the left in Queens, where Ray's parents lived until Friday. So in their original home, and a lot of people ask because a lot of people have assumptions from the outside, Ray offered to buy them a new house. I think he even did get them a house out on the West Coast, but they really enjoyed their life in their house it was their house in Queens, where Ray, in real life, he didn't live across the street, but he did live around the corner. And so Ray's mother was a piano teacher. She was very soft-spoken in real life. There's a bunch of the relationship, that bickering relationship where they're just constantly fighting, but then instantly forgiving each other. That was very true to their relationship. I would say for the formation of the character, and let's go back to the pilot. Yes, Barbara, you lived in Queens? Great. And Ray loved living in Queens. It was a great place to grow up. Yes, they still lived in Queens. So let's go back to the pilot. In the pilot, the dynamic of Ray's parents living across the street from him, that is 100% real life in that they were constantly dropping in. And Ray's father in real life did change the outgoing message of Ray and Anna's, Ray's real wife's answering machine. So that dynamic of the bickering family who always dropped in unannounced, that was a very real dynamic. Now, in real life, Ray's real life wife comes from a Sicilian family, so that changed. But I think I should say just in general, when you're basing anything, a TV series, a movie, you have to make it entertaining, first of all. So if you want to watch a true story, watch a documentary about something, because you have to take artistic license. So when Phil was first writing the pilot, he had in his mind what his mother was like. Now, the Fruit of the Month Club is directly from Phil's life, and that happened with his mother. That's in the pilot. So Phil took that dynamic of parents living across the street and being intrusive and put in what he knew about his mother. And I know Phil even told Ray's mother that he was basing it more on his mother as far as just specifics, because that's what Phil, that's what everybody knows, is the specifics of their life. But Ray's mother had that dynamic with Ray's father, who was very much the Frank character, although heightened to make it more dramatic and more interesting. So, and Ray's dynamic of, and this is very important, Ray's dynamic of the brother, the mother constantly being worried about the older brother, that was very much like real life. Ray's policeman, older brother. Ray's mother was very protective of his feelings. So you'll see that. Okay. Now I'm going to scroll back a little bit. Yes, Robert's Bachelor. Oh, sorry. Yes, and I don't think Ray's mother was in any episodes. You guys would know who watch, but off the top of my head, I don't know that she was in any. If she was in any, hello, Bulgaria. If she was in any, it would have been an extra maybe in the wedding episode. So unlike Ray's real father and Phil's real father, who were in the bachelor party and a wedding episode, she did not appear. So they were there in a big way, and they liked acting. Phil's father loved acting, Max. So you can see them at the end of the bachelor party episode where they wake up and they have cake in their lap, and they also bought the banner that said, "Happy Birthday, Woody." Yes, hello, Brian Friedman. Yes, Ray's mother was lovely, very sweet. Brian Friedman, who worked for years with Ray's manager. Right, let me scroll up. I'm going to take this opportunity to answer some questions. Unfortunately, I have to leave at 2:30, which is our time. So it's not a long session. And by the way, just a heads up, I'm going to be doing a couple of live interviews, not on Sunday. I'll give plenty of heads up because a lot of the people that I want to talk to, so you guys can hear them, aren't available on Sunday. And so it's really hard. So I'd rather do them and have you watch them later and maybe catch them live rather than not be able to talk to them at all. Hello, Frank from New Jersey, from Bergen County. Yes, so scrolling through these questions, great. Yes, did Ray's mom live in Queens? Yes, she did. Say hello, Karen. Yes, it's great to see all of you today watching from Kent. So I will say Ray's mother was a really, really accomplished piano player. And at one point, Ray in real life, and you know there's an episode where Ray plays piano. Ray can play piano. He can play a few songs brilliantly. So he does have this musical ability, but he did not pursue it. But Ray in real life was like, I want to record my mother playing concert piano pieces before she can no longer play them. So she picked, I want to say maybe 10 songs. And this is, well, I'm talking now probably 15 years ago. And I went to her house. I have all this audio equipment. And we recorded Ray's mother beautifully playing at Ray's house this some of her favorite piano pieces. And I know that somewhere I have some black and white photos from those sessions, which was really, really phenomenal. And just getting back to, only because I'm scrolling through these questions. Hello, Perth, UK. So the question again: how much was Ray's mother like the Marie? I would say, in real life, she was a good cook. Phil's mother in real life was not a good cook, and Phil talks about that if you watch the series. Somebody Feed Phil, and his series before then, he makes it very clear that his mother could not cook. But Ray's mother was a very good cook. Yes, hello, W. Let's see. So yes, we're talking, for those of you just joining, we're talking about Ray's mother who passed in real life on Friday. Is Ray's real life wife also a horrible cook? No, she is not a horrible cook. That is definitely more of a fabricated thing. So Ray's real life wife is actually, her parents were Sicilian from Sicily, and so her mother was a fantastic cook. So that side is more, I would say, Phil, more of the in-laws of the not Sicilian. Ray has 3 brothers. Why did he cut one out of the show? Yes. So that was, I've explained that. I've had, I'm glad, obviously people can't see every answer to every question, but I posted a picture and it made a little bit of confusion. Ray has 2 brothers, so there's 3 boys. And Ray's dynamic between the policeman and him, where there's a jealousy, etc., was a great avenue to explore. So Phil decided, okay, we can't have another brother. There's just too many characters. So when you're writing a script, you will go through and you have to service each character, meaning you have to give the characters enough to do to warrant them being the character in the show. Otherwise, it's just, hey, that brother comes in every once in a while. So Phil made that decision, and Ray, they're like, okay, we'll just do it about the policeman brother. So Ray's other brother was left out of the show, but Ray named the policeman character after his other brother. And I think that's where some people get confused. Yes, Ray's mother passed on Friday. Were any of the dishes that Ray loved of Marie's, like steak pizzaiola, inspired by something Ray's mother cooked? That's a great question. And I don't, you know what, I'm going to have to ask Ray's wife, because I don't remember ever discussing real life recipes. And the truth was, the dynamic of having the wife who can't cook, that was definitely more from, like I said, from Phil's side. I never have heard Ray complaining about his mother's cooking. So, yes, she is Italian, so that is unlikely. Who wrote that? That's very funny. Jen. Let's see who else we have. Yes. Did his mom ever attend any film tapings? Yes, absolutely. And somewhere, it's, as I said, I have 30,000 photos, so I will find pictures of his mother at the tapings. The glasses episode was based on any of the moms. It was very funny when Marie got glasses. Yes. Heidi Bloom, 19. So that episode was written by an outside writer named Jay Kogan. So if you look up Jay Kogan,
It sounds like Jake Hogan, but it's Jaykogan. He's a great writer who wrote on Frasier. I think he also won an Emmy for Frasier because Doris Roberts submitted the Marie's Glasses episode and won an Emmy for her performance in that episode. So that's a great one to bring up. Fully round. Yes, I was going to characters. Fully rounded characters from the parents of the writers and actors. Yes, and they were really well-rounded characters, even if aspects. Yes, that is true. Were any of the dishes at Ray? Yes, I'll find that out. So nobody. So Leo, was it Ray's real mom or Phil's who switched the recipe on the episode of Meatballs? Yeah, that I think also was made up. But the dynamic, the diabolical nature of Marie came out in that aspect where Deborah is the one just saying, I really think, she's against me. And that illustrates that she actually went out of her way. So that was a great moment, not a real life moment, because that would be a little bit diabolical and crazy. And let's see here. So I know, even though Ray's mother studied to be a concert pianist at Juilliard, she did not want to be on camera, I know. So in general, and nor did Phil's mother necessarily want to be on camera. So, did Ray's parents speak Italian? Does Ray knows a little? Yes, great question. Tina. They spoke a little, so I don't remember. I don't know how much they spoke, but it was definitely a little. Sorry, I'll find out the exact details. So, just because, as I'm thinking, Ray's wife in real life, her parents were immigrants from Sicily, so they spoke almost only Italian. And so Ray's wife in real life speaks Italian, speaks Sicilian. We were talking about that last night. I saw Ray's wife, and we were talking about etc. These type of, the difference, between Sicilian and the Italian dialect. For those of you that are Sicilian, you would know. Did the Randy Patton, excellent question. Did the actors study the individuals which their characters were inspired by? I know Peter. So the short answer is no. That's the short answer. I know in some works where you're doing a very, Brad Garrett did a brilliant job. If you haven't seen it, Brad Garrett did a brilliant job playing Jackie Gleason. And there, you're studying a known person. So you really have to try and emulate and get close to who they are. But in this case, so much was made up for comedic effect that there was nothing to study at that point, because the pilot gets written. It's, Phil wrote the pilot, Ray went over the pilot, reviewed the pilot, etc. And there are some traits in there that are 100% made up. So it's not like a biopic. So that is the short of it. So Patty Heaton brought her tremendous acting skills to that character, which was inspired by, partly Phil's wife and partly Ray's wife, and then the other wives of the writers in the show. Yes, the parents were still in this. They were still living in Queens, where they were when Ray and Anna lived in Queens. Leo. Yes. Oh, sorry. I'm going to go back up. This question was: a character of Zia Serena inspired by aunts or relatives of Ray or Phil? Yes. Ray's wife had a relative from Sicily living in her basement for a while, came and visited. And I think that kicked off that thought of having an aunt visiting. And she was very nice. And she lived in Bisaquino. I visited there in Sicily. I met her before the show when she was living in Ray's basement. And I saw her in Sicily years later. She had moved, she was in Sicily where she lived, so she was staying in Queens. So Leo, off topic. Why, by the way, anybody can ask any question at
anytime. So I don't care if it's completely off topic, as long as it gets back to everyone's rating. Off topic, but why do actors submit an episode for Emmys versus just performances over the entire series? Great question, Leo. So the way you get you have to submit something for people to review. So I think you're trying for the judges, you're trying to see a whole episode because it gets a better sense of acting. So if you just sent them a highlight reel, you would have to pick highlights and have the setup there, and it would be a disjointed thing to watch. So and then it becomes more a functioning also of how well is that edited. There's a lot of factors. So by picking something that aired, what the public sees in its whole makes it easier. So the actors submit one episode to be considered, and then if you get nominated, there are affidavits that people have to fill out, and there's a group of peers. So I would be judging for writing, let's say. I would have to watch and sign a paper that I watched every single episode. So it would complicate it a little bit if it was a highlight reel. And also, for those of you that you watch someone win an Emmy and you go, oh, I don't really like that series, or if an actor has a phenomenally written episode and it's a great performance, they could win an Emmy in a series that you might not necessarily like. Ray's dad is no longer with us. He passed quite a few years ago. I don't remember the year. I want to say 2009 or 10 or something like that. Funny, yes. Hello, Bosnia. Why didn't Jessica Chastain get more on-screen time as Robert's girlfriend? Is that who it was? Is there a campaign in Bosnia to get her more screen time? I don't, any of the outside characters, you just have to service the main characters and the main story. So that's why even look how great Stefania was. Look how great Alex Meneses was. But once that story ran its course, she, we tried to bring her back as much as possible, but there's only so much with outside characters unless they become, yes, Randy Patton, Brad did a superb job as Jackie Gleason in Mr. Gleason's biopic. That's phenomenal. The turd joke, I'll see if someone remembers. So Heidi Bloom, 19, you're asking who came up with the turd hats joke. It cracks me up every time. So I will say this. When you're writing, and when we talked to Tucker Cawley the first time Tucker wrote the baggage episode, a lot of the lines you don't remember. There's a few very clear lines that I remember writing, but two things. You generally don't point out, hey, I wrote that on the night of the show or any time after. And a lot of people, Tucker, for example, it's you have trouble remembering, did I write that episode even, let alone one specific line. So there's very, very specific things that we all remember, and then a lot of times. So I'll try and find out the answer to who wrote Turd Hats. A proud moment in Raymond history. Were there any well-known actors due to make an appearance on the show but ended up not? Windlepoons. Excellent question. So Gene Stapleton was in the first season. And I think, so that's an example of someone that Phil wanted to cast, and she did it. For those of you that don't know, she was Edith Bunker in All in the Family. I can't think of any actor, because again, there weren't that many outside cast members on Everybody Loves Raymond. So I'll have to ask Phil, remind me to ask Phil next time he is a guest, if there was somebody that he tried to get who he couldn't. But off the top of my head, I don't remember being in the writer's room and Phil saying, we have to get this person for this thing. And then Lisa Miller Katz, who hopefully we'll talk to, the casting director, I don't remember her coming in and going, guess what, Phil? Whoever passed, whoever that giant star, Mary Tyler Moore says, no, I'll never appear on your show. I don't remember any of that. Well, okay. Great. These are great comments. Yes, cheese rotting in the luggage was fantastic. That was a fantastic element. Were any of Ray's, this is from, so DK Rustiva. Now, DK Rustiva, D Crustiva 11. Let me know when I'm even hovering near close. Were any of Ray, this is a great question, were any of Ray's relatives actually bothered by the representation on the show? His wife or dad, maybe. His wife, Ray's wife, maybe a little bit. I mean, she knew the story. To be honest, Ray's mother was more upset about how Ray's brother, the policeman, was portrayed. So we know it's comedy. Ray's brother knew it was comedy, but Ray's mother was very protective. And so early on, you have to get used to it's not a biopic. It's just a comedy. So yes, the answer is yes. Now, Phil's wife, who we talked about, Monica Horan, who plays Amy on the series I Rose Raymond. The Bad Moon Rising episode, which was about PMS, the official name was Bad Moon Rising. That was really a direct fight that they had. So did Monica in real life love that she was portrayed that way? I don't know that she did. And also the can opener episode, which we have to talk about. I don't know. You know what? We'll have Monica and Phil on again, and can we expect Raymond's live stand-up somewhere in Europe? Miss Daisy, where are you in Europe? That I don't know. Where would he play in Europe that it would play? Gail Anderson, hello. Would you consider an ELR museum with pictures and props from the show? Well, it's an interesting question because a lot of a few of the really cool costumes are at the Hermosa Beach Comedy Magic Club, which I gifted to the owner of the Hermosa Beach Comedy Magic Club, which is here in California, just south of Los Angeles. I don't know. It would be a matter of where does that museum live, and does anybody, this exploration, what I'm doing here every week and trying to put up photos is keeping it alive. Now, I know that has anybody been to the Lucille Ball, the I Love Lucy Museum? I'd be curious because that show is from, I want to say 51 or 2 to 60. So that's a long time ago. Of course, Lucille Ball was on TV for, I think, 30 straight years. So, so the answer is I don't know about a museum because someone would have to take up that mantle. Now, Ray's manager in real life has a lot of the props from the show. So let's see. By the way, there's a huge following in both Ireland and UK if you're looking forward to it. Yes, thank you, Heidi. Yes, I hear. Do you guys watch Everest Raymond in the morning or do you watch it in the evening in reruns? Because I know it was on in the morning in the UK. Story behind the bird episode. Who did the research on the sports writing? I don't, Ray loves sports. Ray's very much into sports. And I'm going to talk to Andy Kindler. I wrote an episode with Andy, and I wrote a few episodes with Andy in it where he plays a sports writer. But really, Ray really likes sports. Ray really knows sports. And Patricia Heaton's father in real life was a sports writer, but I don't know how much research was done into the sports writing aspect. Yes, can we expect Raymond's live? Okay, scrolling through here. These are always great questions. I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, go with the flow, babe. I love saying these names. Can you maybe tell the story behind the bird episode? Now, I'm going to have to ask Phil about it because Jeremy Stevens, who was one of the Raymond writers who passed about 3 months ago, he was the oldest writer. He was 83. He wrote that episode, and I know Phil came up with one of the twists of the bird episode. So I'll find out. In real life, Jeremy Stevens' wife would save birds, was a super, she was very, very protective of animals, etc. So I think that's what the origin of it was. Randy Patton. Hello, Randy. Always great questions. Is it easier to do a series in which the cast of characters are focused upon, such as Raymond, or a series such as Here's Lucy, which is often built an episode around a guest star? Yeah, that's a very good question. Here's Lucy. Boy, we're going back in references. For Here's Lucy, my guess is she was on the air for so long, and they're building around a guest star. It's not the best way. You as the viewer, me as a viewer of a show, I get attached to all the characters in MASH or in The Office or whatever it is, or Seinfeld. And so those are the actors that you want to, the characters that you want to service. So when you're bringing in outside casting, we kind of call it stunt casting, which is try and get the ratings up with celebrities. So it's easier with characters, I would say. But you're torn, and Phil taught us this lesson early on. Kevin James is a guest star on the show. You want to give him, Kevin's so funny. You want to give him funny lines and make him, but it's got to be, you can't have him, dominating an episode rather. It's just for the actors, for the series, it's just not true. And if you watch I Love Lucy, the original ones, it always feels you love those characters so much, and now we know them. We've lived with them for 50 years. So sometimes it feels weird when there's an outside character, dominates the show. Looked like you have a good time. Yes, 95 miles to go. Yes, Ray and I had a great time. Yes. Well, here's the thing. Ray doesn't love to travel, so if chances are he's not going to Europe. Peter Boyle told the Academy of TV Legends interview in 2005 that there was one episode he absolutely did not like, but wouldn't say which one. Any idea? Whoa, that's a great one. I don't know. I'll have to watch that. One episode which he didn't like. Maybe Doris Roberts. Sorry, Doris Roberts. Boy, maybe Peter's wife would know in real life. Slovenia. Miss Daisy in Slovenia. Is the English stand-up comedy market there doing pretty well? Okay, so Leggett, is that what I'm reading correctly? Leggett06. Random question, I need to know what in the hell, that's you swearing in the comment, I'm just relaying it, that tofu turkey was made of. Actual tofu, what did they eat? So I will find that out. So that episode came from, I believe, Steve Scrovan, who's vegan, his wife's vegetarian, very wholesome people, so very healthy people. There is such a thing as a tofu turkey in real life, but for props, they want that to jiggle and look as funny as possible. So I'll find out from Rhonda what that was made from. Like you played off of, was that purposely done? Both series? Yes. Great question, Heidi. These are killer questions. Amy and Deborah were from such restrained backgrounds, unlike the Italians they played off of. Was that purposely done? Both restrained or even repressed versions of the Italian everything out there. Yeah, great. So in real life, Phil's wife is from that really reserved kind of existence. It's a perfect contrast. Patty Heaton feels that in real life. She feels like that would service it, that character trait. And Phil's in-laws, I think, in real life are of that ilk. So I think when they said in the first year, when they said, it'll be more, we're going to Vietnam. So that was a little bit based on that. So yeah, but comedically speaking, if you have a bunch of really loud Italians all the same, it's not as easy for comedy as not that you can't make good comedy out of that situation, but for the weekly servicing of the characters, to have this contrast between this really reserved family and these out there emotional Italians, that makes it better. It gives you a lot more to work with. I can't believe it's not Pete. Hello. I can't believe it's not Pete. I'm curious on the origin of your name. Who is Pete, etc. How was working with Peter during the last few episodes? Yeah, Peter, it was great, and Peter was ailing, so he had a tough time. He had a tough time with his line. He was frail. But he always delivered on his lines, even to the end. When Frank fell through the stairs when trying to fix it, what was used to make it seem so real? Yeah, that was Jerry. That was our special effects guy. Peter Boyle really did fall through it. I forget how they blasted the dust and stuff up through it. But we were worried that Peter would get hurt, and he did that stunt. And I think I posted a picture of him very proudly coming up after that happened, and that was based, by the way, on a real life story of one of the writers, Jennifer Crittenden, who was having sex and got injured and had to lie about her injury. So, great question. Okay, let's see. These are all great questions. Scrolling up, and I am late. Frank, yes. I am late, yes. I wonder whether the show had been with Ray have an Italian wife. If Ray had an Italian wife, it would be a completely different dynamic. Thank you. Let's see. One last two questions. Absolutely. Stand-up comedy is big in Slovenia. And there's also some great Slovenian. Is it Slovenian or Slovenian? Is it a long A or a short A? Stand-up comics, English speaking, absolutely not a problem. Oh, right, Miss Daisy. I will look on it. Certain topic. No one. Back then, no one talked politics really per se. Was there problems? No, we didn't really talk. And also, in 1996 through 2005, there wasn't the charged atmosphere that we have now. Great. All right, let's do two more questions, and then I will drive quickly. The Lucy. Oh, Barbara in Boston, you have been to the Lucy Museum? Great. And how was it? How was the Lucy Museum? I would be fascinated by that. It's a fascinating period in American history. I Love Lucy. The beginning of television, the beginning of the four-camera sitcom developed by Desi Arnaz. It was phenomenal. A phenomenal undertaking. Can we expect? Okay. This is great. So, again, keep an eye out for, I'll promote if I'm going to appear on a non-Sunday at 2 p.m., but I will see you guys next week. Thank you all for the thoughts for Ray and his family after the passing of his mother. We will have a guest next week. And thank you so much. And by the way, I hope you enjoyed that sequence I posted of Patty with Doris and that cake, because that cake was just there. Patty was just, I blended in because I always had my camera and I was always standing there. Patty was just helping herself to a piece of cake. It looks much bigger in the slice that she's holding than when you look at how the slice that is missing from that piece of cake. And Doris was there was always fresh fruit there. So I just recently discovered that sequence, and I thought, wow, that is hysterical that Doris happens to be eating all of that fruit, and Patty comes up looking, by the way, I think because she's wearing also baggy clothes, she looks emaciated. Patty does. And so that was a normal backstage event, and I think that the table read had just finished, because if you look back at those photos, you'll see that the cover, it's white pages and a colored cover, and that was usually when you wrote a script, that was, you get to pick, the writer's assistant would come in and say, what color do you want in your script this week, Tom? And I would say, it wouldn't matter to me, so I'd say red or blue, or whatever, it didn't matter. So you can see, if you study that picture again, you'll see it looks like we've had the table read, now we're going behind, we're just, there's time now and they're snacking. So that series, I love that series, a really great behind the scenes photo that is pretty rare. You're not going to see that on other sites. And I would love to see more behind the scenes stuff of Seinfeld and Friends and I Love Lucy. I would love to see those. So I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much again for the well wishes for Ray and his family, and thank you for all your comments. Keep commenting. If I don't write back, chances are I'm going to comment during the week when I'm answering during these live sessions when I can answer in depth. So, all right. See you guys next week. Thank you again so much.